Okay, before we do the TVM solver, I just quickly wanted to talk about this one. It's actually fairly straightforward if you just know what you need to do, right? If you don't know, you're going to be stuck on it. You don't want to lose marks on this one. So it says, use the rule of 72 to estimate the amount of time required for the investment to grow to the goal stated. So you're starting with $1,000 and you want to know how long it would take you to get to $8,000 using the rule of 72. So what you need to do first and foremost, page 26, right? You're going to use this. You're going to use the rule of 72, and you know you're getting 8%, right, of a return. That means that your doubling time, 72 divided by 8, is 9 years. Every 9 years, your money will double. And we're going to use this reasoning, not your calculator, not the compound interest formula. This is 26, so you got to good luck finding it. That's the problem, right? But this is what you do. Time and money. You kind of, this is exponential functions. Remember the doubling time of something, bacteria growing or anything like that? At the beginning, at time 0, you have $1,000. And this is my guarantee to you that the number on the right side will at some point end up with the goal, right? I'm not going to give you something that doesn't line up. So after 9 years, you will double your initial amount, which is $2,000, right? Another 9 years go by, which gets you to 18. You double your money again to $4,000. So 18 years have gone by, you're now at $4,000. One more doubling period, right? So add 9 to this, gets you to 27. You double this again, you're at 8,000. And that is the time it will take to get to 8,000 using the rule of 72. Okay, so can we just do this? Times 2, times 2, times 2, right? So you're doubling here, but you're not doubling on this side. It's plus 9, plus 9, plus 9. Okay, it's very important because at first you might think, but if you double 0, you don't get 9, do you? So that should be one indication that the time goes up consistently, but this doubles, the money doubles, right? It will take, watch this, approximately 27 years. Key word is approximately because we're using the rule of 72 to come up with it. I keep this, it's posted. I just thought I'd at least do one with you. If you want to do the rest, the key is up, right? You can look it up and do a couple more if you feel like you need to have a bit more practice on it. Okay, but I'm expecting you to know that kind of stuff. I'm going to also pause. This is why the book is so thick, because I put a lot of extras in there. If we have time, we'll do this. We'll actually compare simple and compound, graph them both on the same grid, and see that one is linear, one is compound, but actually do the work behind the scenes that show that. So we're skipping all of that. Skip, skip, skip. Keep flipping until you get to the TVM solver. That's what I want to focus on today. That's where we're going to kind of camp and use the TVM solver pretty much for everything we do. Right? TVM solver. So that's page 34. If you want to write that in. Yeah, so I apologize for that. So you need to kind of flip quite a bit to get to this page right here. TVM stands for time value money. Okay, and I use this app to this day. Okay, this app comes with a TI-84 and it essentially replaces the need, right? Essentially replaces the need to use the compound interest formula. Like that formula we've been using for compound interest, this kind of replaces the need to use that. Okay. Let's go find it real quick. So if you turn it on, right, you go apps, and then the first option is finance, and there's lots of things there, but we're not going to use all of them. Okay, we're only going to use primarily Tvm Solver, right? We're going to use this one here, balance, how much money is in the account. We're going to use this one, which is to figure out the principal and interest, how much interest was earned. Those are the only four we're going to focus on. So use your arrows to go find, right? Balance is on the first screen here, but you got to keep going to find principal and interest, right? So I had to kind of take two pictures to fit this in. So remember, apps, finance, that's where you find these. These are the ones we're going to use from time to time. Tvm Solver extensively, these other ones only if needed, right? So what do they all do? This is the first step when solving for a variable. The functions below are based on what's in TVM, right? The functions below are based on what is in Tvm Solver. So if you use these ones, they're going to base it on what we've done in here, okay? What does the balance do? It will return the amount remaining after a certain time. So balance the amount remaining after a certain time. It requires the number of periods based on n, the n value from TVM. So right now, a lot of this is gibberish. It'll make more sense later. So balance 18, if you type that in, would give the balance in the account after 18 periods. Okay. Principal, right, returns the principal invested or paid, right? And it's, notice though that it's different. This one, these two, interest and principal, require a comma, like from start to finish, right? Start, end. So interest, it will tell you the amount of interest earned or paid. If you're taking a loan out, it tells you how much interest you paid. If you're investing, it will tell you how much you've earned. I don't know. I feel like I'm going to put down start and. Okay, so this is the end period, this is the start. So if you want to know from the first month to the 18th month of the investment, you would go 1 to 18 like that. Okay. And I'm going to kind of jump in and just use it today so that this will make more sense to you. Right now, I feel like if I talk too much about it, I'm going to lose you, right? Here. Balance, principal and interest only work for whole quantities. I need you to highlight that as well. Whole quantities. It has to be whole numbers. The functions work best to determine amounts within an investment or loan period. That one I will not highlight. Okay. Calculating total interest. You have option 1. There are no deposits or payments made. This still applies, right? This is still interest, is just the final amount minus the initial amount. It looks a little different. We use the TVM variables, which is future value and present value. I'm not going to highlight that one though, because this formula is these are very similar. This one is when there's regular deposits or payments that you're making. Okay, use this if n is not a whole number. And I'm going to highlight this one, because if there are no payments, pay close attention, this just turns into 0, like the payment, and you're back to this one here, right? So I'm just going to say, hey, let's just focus on that one and then we're fine. If n is a whole number, we use this one, interest start end. Right? Like these are formulas you use if n is not a whole number. So if n is a whole number, I will usually tend to avoid this one. And you are going to need to practice for sure, guys. This is new territory here. All right, keep going. Let's go into the Tvm solver for a little bit. So actually with the calculator before we start talking more about this, okay? So I'm going to quit your screen. So let's go second quit. We go apps, finance, you go into Tvm solver. Okay. I don't want to go into too much detail, but just make sure, go to the bottom, go all the way to the bottom here, all the way, and make sure end is highlighted. Not begin, but end. End should be highlighted. Okay, so if you move away from that row, it should stay on end. Keep it that way, don't change it, just leave it like that. The only difference is that, are you making your payments at the beginning of the month or end of the month? And it's negligible, the difference, but your answers will be slightly different if you choose one over the other. We just don't worry about it, okay? If you're a banker, maybe, but we don't worry about that. So always leave this at end, okay? And so these are the variables. This is basically your formula with all the variables listed, okay? So what do they mean? They will make a lot more sense once we start working with it, but watch this. And this got hole punched out, okay? So we got to fill this in. N is the total number of compounding periods or deposits and payments. And I will do this. Let's write it up on top. Time in years, right? We take time in years times whatever is in PY. And you're like, PY? What's PY? Glad you asked, but PY is right here. But N is always PY times the number of years. That's what we put in N. I is the interest rate. As a percent, you do not convert. You get that part? Don't convert. PV is the present value. That's your investment or initial loan that you're taking out. No initial deposit, then PV is just set to 0. Payment, the value of regular deposits or payments that are being made. No payments, PMT is just set to 0. Future value, what it is that you have at the end of the investment, right? Or loan. For loans, you want the future value to be 0. Would that make sense? In the future, you want to own nothing, right? So there it is. PY is payments per year. If there are no deposits or payments, set PY equal to CY. Right? No payments or deposits, set PY equal to CY. That's very important. I would use a different color, okay? And you're like, what's CY, Mr. Dirksen? I'm glad you asked. It's right here. Compounding periods per year. You should know that one already as well, right? Quarterly, monthly, daily. So these will all be numbers, guys. These will all be numbers when we're said and done. We set this to end. And watch what it says here. To solve, put the blinker on the unknown, then press alpha, enter. Where's alpha? It's nice. Your calculators, it's easy to find. It's the green button. Alpha, enter, solves, right? Think of, look at the enter, right? There's solve in green. So you're going alpha, enter to solve. Okay. Again, right now it's gibberish. You're like, oh my goodness, I don't like where this is going, right? Just hang in there. I just give you the intro and then we'll do some examples. This is a very important concept. I don't know how else to do it, and I tried my best here, okay? Watch this. Signs indicate the direction of cash flow. Which way is the money going? So PV, PMT, and future value, these are all dollar amounts, will need to either have a positive or negative sign. The sign is centered around the U, okay? So let's say, for example, money is being the positive, then you choose a negative sign because money is leaving you, right? Like if this is you and you're saying, hey, bank, I give you my money, it's leaving you, so there should be a negative sign in front of that money, that dollar amount. If you're getting a loan, like if the bank says, hey, here, take 12 grand to go buy a car, the money's coming to you, so that would be positive, right? Or if you're at the end of your investment, you're now ready to withdraw your funds, then the money is coming to you. If you're making deposits, the money is leaving you, so it will be negative, right? So think about it in those terms as I'm working through these questions, okay? Quite often, if you get the signs wrong, the calculator is going to complain. It's going to say, error, sign, something is wrong with your signs, right? So let's do some math, shall we? This is page 34, 35, 36. Maybe put the page number at the top, right? Page 36. And let's do some questions so you can wrap your head around this. Okay. Make sure you have highlighters. Highlighters, highlighters, right? Okay. You invest $3,000. You invest 3 grand, right? It's a 5-year GIC. That's just how it, right? It means that it will take 5 years. The interest rate is 4.17%. It's compounded quarterly. Calculate the value of the investment at maturity. The value of the investment at maturity, that's what they want. It's saying, well, how much money will you have at the end? That's basically what it's saying. So I can't give you a silver bullet. I can't tell you this is going to work every time the way I see it. But what I normally do is I start at the bottom. So compounding periods per year, it's usually given. It's right there, right? This is CY right there. Sorry, CY is equal to 4, which is also known as N is equal to 4, right? It's the same thing. So we put the 4 in here. By the way, when you're using the TVM solver, I need you, it's a requirement to tell me all the entries like this. You need to write them out like that, okay? The calculator follows it. PY, are there any payments mentioned at all? I actually already gave it away without regular payments, right? There are no payments here. So then we just make this 4 as well, okay? No payments. Therefore, PY is exactly the same as what we put in CY, okay? Make a little note to yourself there because it might not make sense maybe in the future. Future value, that's what they're asking us for, right? Value. So we put a little dot there. Just put a dot right next to the one you're going to solve. Or a question mark, it's up to you. Any payments? No payments. Right? No payments. Therefore is equal to 0, right? Present value. You're investing 3 grand, so that's the initial amount, that's the present value. If you're investing it, the money is leaving you, correct? So we're going to go minus 3,000. Okay? Money leaving you, money leaving you. Okay? In the meantime, interest rate 4.17, no big deal. 4.17, just put it in like that. And N, what was N again? It was the years, 5 years, times, which one do I multiply it by? 5 years times PY, right? So there it is. I'm going to use a highlighter in a bit, so that's really just 20, right? I'm going to highlight PY and make that show up here. So when you see the 20, it's not 20 years, correct? It's 20 quarterly chunks, okay? 20 quarters, okay? I will quarters in this case. It's 5 years. It's very clear that it's 5 years, okay? So grab your calculators. I'm going to quit the screen for now, right? And then go through the motions here. Apps, finance, Tvm Solver. Here we are. I go to the bottom. Actually, can I tell you something you need to watch out for? The calculator is designed, whatever you put into PY, go to PY right now and put in 4. As soon as you hit enter, what happens? It turns CY to 4 as well. So you need to, in this case, it's very convenient, right? We want them both to be 4, but watch out. I usually change PY and then I change CY if they're different. Future value is unknown. Don't touch it. Go to payment, turn that to 0. Go to present value, turn that to negative, not minus, right? You got to use the negative button. Change the I to 4.17. Change the top number to 20, or you can go 5 times 4, just like that, and hit enter. Now we go to the one we want to solve for. So I go to future value. Some students don't like the 15,000, so they will do this. They will put a 0 in there because they don't like something else being there, but it doesn't really matter. You cannot delete the entry. If you try to go delete and move away, you can't. You'll notice you can't. So something needs to be in there. I'm going to go alpha, enter, and it then tells you how much money you have. Right? It tells you 3,691.50. Put a dollar because that's the one you're solving for, and then I usually circle it like this. Okay, that's the one I solved for. Does it make sense that it's positive? It's money coming to you, right? Yeah. Question, Trinity, or? Here, like this number? Yeah. Did you put a negative up here? Okay, put a negative there, and then this one will be positive. In this particular case, I'm not going to go into details. If you got the signs wrong, it wouldn't have mattered in this case. But when payments are starting to happen, then you need to be careful because it will mix it up. It will think that, oh, you're making payments. Are the payments going to the bank or are they going to you? Which way are they going, right? So it's going to be very crucial there. Okay, we got this. So TVM solver, this is now a solved TVM question. What does it say next? Calculate how much interest did you earn. You can use 2 methods here. So we will use this one first. And we go from 1 to what? You base it on this. Careful here. Look up here. This goes over 20 quarters. So you got to put the n in here, 20, like that. So you're saying I want to, from the very beginning, the first payment, the first quarterly payment, they did pay you, right? Interest to the 20th. But careful, careful. Don't get ahead of yourself, okay? You need to quit this screen. If you want to try to go do that right now, it's going to mess things up. It's going to bring it in here. So quit this screen. Then you go apps, finance, not Tvm Solver, sorry. I got to do this again. Apps, finance, and go find interest right there. Hit enter. And then we go from the 1st to the 20th period. And we can just go equals 691.50. And I use this example because it's quite easy to see that, right? We could definitely tell that anyways. Or you use this one. Future value minus present value minus n times payments. Are there any payments? Nope. So it's just future value minus present value minus 0 if you like, but there are no payments. If you plug in 0 there times n, it's just 0, right? There we go. So it's that or that. Regardless, it's okay. Remember, n is whole, right? It's 20. It's not 20.5 or 21.7. It's a whole number. You get to pick. If it had been a decimal, you cannot do this one. You have to resort to this one. Okay, let's keep going. You'd like to know how much interest you will have earned. My bad. Have earned 3 years into the investment. Determine this. Oh, is it almost time? Okay. Watch this. 1 to what? Not to 20, right? 3 years times 4, because we're doing quarters, right? Is 12, correct? So that is the number you would have to put in there. So you can just use your calculator, just copy the previous entry, change the 20 to 12, and there's 397.58. Okay, 397.58. In this case, finding interest within investment, I will just call it that. I think you're not ready yet for homework, so we'll just leave it there.